Hello, in this video we're going to do some modelling for Supreme Ruler 2030. So I've actually written a tutorial of how to get models from Blender into Supreme Ruler 2030, and most of the steps still apply for Supreme Ruler Ultimate, though what you have to do is at the end where you export the OBJ from Blender 4, you then have to re-import it into an old version of Blender that supports the .x exporter, which is 2.79b, which I also have installed on this computer. And then once you've imported the OBJ now, you just simply re-export it as a .x file, and it's pretty much then the same steps in game itself. So this isn't actually going to be a tutorial as such. Like I say, I will link the tutorial on the Supreme Ruler wiki, which will say Blender 3.5, I think it is. And you can notice I'm using Blender 4.4, but the steps are still fundamentally the same. So the first thing I've kind of done is get some references in. So I've managed to find off Wikipedia a decent picture, and then I've also managed to find a 2D side drawing. Now sadly there isn't no front or back drawings or top drawings, so I've only got sort of one view to work from, but luckily with a missile you can kind of get away with this, because you know this, looking at this picture, this whole body here is effectively a cylinder. The only bit that is not a cylinder is this little ramjet intake. I presume it's a ramjet intake, a little intake anyway, and the fins. But look, at the fins are sort of universal, so you could almost get one sized up, make it, and then just put the mirror modifier on. So first things first is I'm gonna just get a cylinder. I'm going to shrink it down a fair amount. I'm also going to turn down the vertices. So this is one of the things that Supreme Ruler has. We recommend that you don't go over 1,000 polys, or tries as it's called in Blender. So you can see down here I've got the tries count. You can see make it 16. He's already made it 60. So I might just make this 12. Of course, you can use like smoothing to sort of like smooth this out. Of course, because the models are small, you tend to notice less. What I'm going to do is make this 0.3 radius. We can leave it at 2 meters, so we're not too worried about the scaling at the moment. So, going to turn it 90, tab into the edit mode. What we're just going to do is get this to the right sort of size. So this missile has got a bit of a hump in it, so we're going to have to do a bit of guessing. Now we might be able to actually stretch it a bit that way as well. Yeah, we could do that. That would work alright. Like I say, I can keep referring to this this image here. So yeah, maybe that'll be about right. The one I'm just going to do is select and move this. Like I said, this isn't going to be a tutorial as such in how to model in Blender. I'm not the best Blender user. I'm not even close to being the best Blender user or the best modeler. If you want a really good modeler, we got Nerei in the community. Really good modeler. Helped me a lot with writing that tutorial as well. So I'm just going to keep going. Just keep extruding. Scale down. As such. That could probably do with another loop cut, I think, just to smooth that nose out. Like so. Could actually bend this nose out a bit more. Like I say, we're already 164 polys. We want to keep this below 1000 ideally. And what I'll just do is merge at center. So now I got a roughly round shape. Now I have got this bulge here, so what I'm going to just do is just loop cut. Yeah, that'll probably do. And then we'll expand this out just to bulk the body out. Seems to work alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to worry too much about... Yeah, I think I'm going to need to loop cut that again. Not going to worry too much about all this extra detail. It doesn't need to be a perfect model. You can get away with having open sides and whatnot in this game. I'm also not going to be showing... I think this needs to be bulged out actually. I'm not going to be showing how to make moving turrets or anything like that, because I'm not really that good at modeling. Not really done many of that, but there is a way to have it so you can have extra objects in here for, let's say, turning turrets, and you can configure those in game. Galactic Ruler, interestingly, also had the ability to have sort of like optional models on here, which would be unlocked by text. So you could basically have, let's say, this, and then it might grow another engine, let's say, with a tech upgrade. You know, it might have a booster on top or something like that. You know, which was very nice, and I wish we could do that in Supreme Ruler as well in 2030. It might be possible, but that was quite complex when you looked at it, how to get it to work. Now I've got roughly the missile shape. So you can see I've got most of the body. Now we can start sort of adding these fins, which are kind of the next thing. And then we can look at the ramjet last. So first things first is we'll start with this top fin. Because what we'll just do is we'll just do a duplicate on it. So we'll just make this out of a plane. As such. And yeah, as you can tell, I'm not the best person at Blender. If you want to learn how to use Blender, the person to go look at is Blender Guru. He's really good. So we're going to try to keep this simple. So just need to make that like that. Merge that down there. So now we got our triangle. Now it doesn't really matter too much if, yeah, that needs to have a bit more of a stretch on the end there. It doesn't really matter too much if this clips through the model, because don't really see that as a thing in the Supreme Ruler series. So now you can see sort of I've got the top fin. But what I want to do is not have it on center. So ideally what you want to do is you want to solidify, when I can remember where that is. I can never remember where it is in here, or the shortcut. So solidify. And we could make it like that. That might be alright. But what I might just do is make it a little bit thicker. And then what we want to do is select the linked, like so. Now because it was by 0.02, we want to move this by 0.01, which keeps it on center. Then what we want to do is just do a Shift D, move it down in the Z-axis. Rotate it by 180. Go back into this view. And then just move it up. Doesn't need to be perfect, like I say. We're not seeing this up close in detail, but that's pretty much on edge there. Then what we can do is we can duplicate again. We'll move it out in the x-axis. And because of course we have no top on this, we're going to have to just eyeball it. I mean, we could actually just take it to the center here, as we know this is our solder center line here, so we can just clip to the edge. And of course now we're a bit low, but we know what our measurement was, so we can go and just move it up 0.01. There we go. And we might just need to move it out a bit. Yeah, we might want to turn the clipping off. Like I say, it doesn't need to be perfect. And we'll just lock that there. And we're just going to eyeball it. Which, like I say, it isn't perfect, but that's good enough. I mean, the other way of doing it is we simply delete this side, for example. Let the model go back into object mode. We apply a modifier. So you could almost build like half of this. You get a mirror. You can see, there you go. I'll put the other fin on. And then we'll just merge. And then we'll just apply. Now I did actually mess that up because it's what it's seemingly done is put two sets of models on there. So we don't want that. See, we're at 262, so yeah, I swear it had a merge thing on here. That is the merge, so it should just merge the vertices. Okay. And what we can just do is do a clean up of the mesh. There we go, just merge by distance. That does it. So back down to 270. So yeah, like I say, I'm not the best Blender user out there. Don't learn how to model from me. I'm kind of just showing you how my workflow works for making models for Supreme Ruler. So now we've got these front fins done. We want to make the back ones, but if we go over to our reference here, see, whereas these are sort of on the axis, these ones are offset. So this will be a little bit more difficult, but we only have to model one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, yeah, because I think somewhere sat in the middle here seems probably about the right place. Is I will just model one of these up, and we'll do something similar again. Again, doesn't need to be perfect. And while we're at it, we'll just and again, we'll solidify that face by 0.02. And then select linked. And what we want to do is we want to sort of like rotate this in the Y 45 degrees. Seems about right. Yeah, seems about right. Seems like the quarters are out on a 45-degree angle. And then in this view, we'll move it like this. Now, there's probably going to be an easier way to make this mesh than the way I'm doing it, which is probably the complete wrong way, but I'm eyeballing it. Maybe these fins should be a little bit bigger. But again, you can sort of see the size anyway. Yeah, maybe what I'll just do is I'll move it back. Make it slightly taller. Sort of to compensate. There we go. Actually, no, I'm being a bit... I think what you can do is you can select this and go, is it Alt-M? No, it's not. It's a Alt-S. No. Shift-S. That's what I meant to do. So what I could actually do is, because I want to put it roughly in this face, I could go cursor to selection. I could select linked. Okay. And then I think what I can do is I can do okay, maybe that isn't what I want to do. Okay, I am not doing a good job of this, am I? Cursor to selected, that's what I want to do. Then we'll select the linked again. Okay. So now we're kind of on the right axis, but we're halfway through. So what we want to do is we want to do G 0.1 point, 0.2. So I think that looks a lot better. Okay, and then we just need to slide it back a bit. So I knew we'd get there eventually. So maybe that's a little bit low, but yeah, that'll do. It's close enough. So again, we want to go back in, apply a modifier, mirror. This time we want to do it in the y-axis, like so. So now you can see it's done not only this side, but these two at the bottom as well. So we'll just apply that, go back into selection, do another cleanup. Like so. Now we're back to 350 tries, which is perfect. So now we've actually got this bit done, this bit done, this bit done, this bit done. Now I can see a little lump there, but that's a bit small to model. The separate sort of fins here, or control surfaces, we'll just paint those on. No point modeling them separately because they don't move. So sort of the next things to kind of do is do either these little humps here, or this sort of air intake here. So we need to kind of get this shape kind of right. So I'm just going to return the cursor back to the world origin. So everything starts on center. Now we could make this almost a square. Maybe put a little bit bevel on it, not a curved surface as such. Again, it's not a high detail model. Doesn't need to be because of the size. So we're just trying to keep this count down. Like I say, we want to keep it below 1,000. Ideally, we want to keep it less because they're gonna, you fire a missile, you tend to fire a lot of missiles in Supreme Ruler. So, yeah, we'll have a go at that then. So what we want to do is we want to start with a cube. In this case. So because we've only got one view, which isn't ideal. We've kind of got to have a bit of a guess at the width. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking it's not a square. It's probably more rectangular. Going to make this square a bit wider, like so. And then we're just going to drag the face back a bit. Of course, actually, here it tends to get a bit wider, so it might be worth just dragging the face back like this. And moving the face up here. like so. And of course we'll just to keep extruding backwards. And we'll move the face bottom edge up. The only catch is I don't really know this bit. But yeah, because the bit we want to see is under here on both models. So it might be worth, I'd assume it probably just curves up as an intake. So what we'll just do is we'll do this. And just move it up a bit. Like so. So it doesn't stick out the back of the fins. So it might be something like this, I'm kind of guessing. Act as a sort of a force intake. Might be shorter, who knows. So now we've got that nice square shape here. What we want to do is we want to put a bevel on it. So what we'll just do is we'll just try bevel this front bit. Because we want to bevel the top as well. And we only want to do a simple bevel. Do you know what, we'll bevel the whole thing. So this probably isn't the most efficient or quickest way of modelling in Blender, but yeah, it's my skill level. So what if we do something like that? Yeah, that looks alright actually. I don't think that looks too bad. So I don't know whether this narrows or anything like that on the real thing. A bit difficult to tell from the picture. I don't think it does. So this bit of detail will be hidden under the fin all the time anyway. So I could have almost gone away with that, but that's the ram intake done. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to leave it at that for this episode. We'll kind of pick up in the next video where we'll do these little sort of lumps and whatnot, finish the sort of detailing of the model, and then we'll go on and do some texturing. So if you enjoyed this, watching me mess around in Blender, not really know what I'm doing evidently, and you want to see more sort of modeling, me just modeling and talking along while I'm doing it, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe as always, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.